Habakkuk 2:16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. I'd like to start out by saying Barakatah Yahweh and Barakatah Yahweh Shai. This lesson was, something we have done in the past. We have mentioned in the past, I'm going into in the past. But I just recently ran across the information again. It came to mind when I was in Mississippi with the brothers. And I wanted to do a little filming on it. But, I didn't get a chance to. So what I want to do in this lesson is go through some of this in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, on some of these words here on shame and shameful spewing, on thy glory. A couple of these words in here. But the main thing I want to hit is this article here. It's called Britain Send Thousands of Its Convicts to America, Not Just Australia. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, so what we're going to start off with is this article here that was dated 5/29/2015. I believe that's May. Yeah, May 29, 2015. That was a little more than 2 years ago. But this information has been out. And what's happening is with this information here, the Edomites that came to this land, pretty much a good portion of them were pretty much criminals that were sent out of Britain. They were sent here first, and then afterwards they were starting to be sent to Australia. And the reason why they were starting to be sent to Australia after they were first sent here was because they passed laws in America, pretty much banning them from being here or being sent over here. So they ended up sending them to Australia. That's why they started ending up in Australia. But this is more shameful history of Esau, the so-called white man, and the things that he's done. And pretty much this is the reason why you had a lot of situations going on over here in the so-called Americas when the devil came over here. Because from the very beginning, from his birth, he ain't been right from his birth. Matter of fact, since I said that, let me start off with Isaiah 58:1. It says, Do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O ye sons of men? So you so-called white people, you don't judge uprightly, and you're known as the wicked in the Bible. And even all these other nations, they really don't speak uprightly. But mainly you're the main culprit and the main problem on the planet Earth. You're the main demon on the planet Earth that's got everything turned upside down. It says, Yea, in heart ye work wickedness, ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. And that's what's happening. The violence in your heart, you work wickedness. With your mouth you speak sweetly, as it says here in the book of Psalms, the 55th chapter. We'll get that right quick. I'll start at the 19th verse. And it says, The Most High shall hear and afflict them, even he that abideth of old, Selah. Because they have no changes, therefore they fear not the Most High. And so-called white man, you don't fear the Most High, man. You devils don't fear the Lord. The only thing that you do is you just go around acting like you do, acting like you are a man of God or a so-called Christian, But really, when you look at your actions tell a different story of your character, man. It tells a different story of who you really are, and who you really are is the devil that the Bible speaks of, which a lot of people out there don't want to touch that subject. When you tell them that according to the scriptures, the devil has children on the earth, and the children of the earth on earth that are his representatives or his children are the so-called white people, the Edomites. They don't want to hear that. It says he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. Yeah, and when you go back to just alone here in the Americas, when so-called Americas, when they came to this land and took the land from Gad, the so-called North American Indians, just that history alone right there is shameful on you, man. You put your hands against such as were at peace with you. He hath broken his covenant, because you made over 450, 500 covenants agreements with the so-called North American Indians, which are the tribe of Gad, and you didn't keep not one of them. Not one of them, man. You didn't even keep one. So it shows that you do not keep your word. There's a term that goes, a man's word is his bond. You don't have any bonds, because your word is deceitful. Everything that you do is about deceit. It's about getting over on people. It's about ripping people off, robbing them, raping them, and all that. You're not a moral man. You're not a man of morality. You're not a man that keeps his word. You're not a man of justice and righteousness. You're all about wickedness. And that's where the Lord got us out here, beginning with the apostles of Great Millstone, exposing you. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. See, so everything that you've done with a dual purpose, And these so-called Americans that came here to this side of the world were a bunch of criminals, and they've been trying to hide this history, but it keeps popping up every once in a while, and these are some of the ships that they sent. It's called filed to penal transportation. See, so some of these ships that were sent here to the Americas were penal transportation. It was you were sent over here because it was against the law for you to be in England, So it says the joke about Australia is that it was founded by a bunch of criminals. And from 1788 until 1868, Britain did send roughly 164,000 convicts to the land down under. America's dirty little secret? The same exact thing was happening here. In fact, experts estimate that over 52,000 British prisoners were shipped off to colonial America. It says Britain had been shipping convicts to America for decades before they started sending them to Australia. In fact, it was precisely because of America's fight for independence that the Brits had to start sending their criminals to Australia. But from 1718 until 1775, convict transportation to the American colonies flourished. Some estimates claim that almost 10% of migrants to America during this time were British convicts. And it was a lot more than that, because everything that Esau has is just an estimation. You could tell by the brutal acts and the brutal things that they did, it was far greater than that number. And even the ones that weren't convicted there in their land, they were still being demons over here too. It says typically getting banished to America was for a term of either 7 or 14 years, after which the convict could theoretically come back, I should say, to Britain. Escaping home early, however, was punishable by death, and it wasn't just men. Some female convicts were transported to the American colonies as well for crimes such as being lewd and walking the streets after 10 at night. And it was more than that too, but that was just some of the laws they were breaking. Many Australians have more or less embraced their convict history. But if you're an American who had no idea that your country's founding included a huge prison population, you're not alone. Historically, Americans have not been too keen on discussing the fact that convicts came to what would eventually become known as the United States. As Anthony Vaver explains in his book, Bound with an Iron Chain, historians have sought to cover up the fact that so many prisoners were sent to America. Why? Because this was shameful spewing, as we read here. It says, "Thou art filled with shame for glory, drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered." When your foreskin is uncovered, meaning your rod is out. It says, "The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee." Why? Because the Lord's right hand is what? Is his truth, is his prophets coming out there and exposing you. It says, "And shameful spewing shall be on thy glory." And that's why we're going out there and pushing out the truth of who you really are. Not who you painted to the world who you were, not who you gave the world to believe you were or who you were. Not the image that you claim to be. Not sweet Jesus, because this is what the world views you as a benevolent fellow. You seem to be so nice and all that. but you're nothing but the devil in disguise, man. You're nothing but the devil that the Bible speaks of, you know. And the scriptures speak about the Satan transforming himself into an angel of light. So now when you look through here and you look at the word shame, thou art filled with shame for glory. The word, matter of fact, let me see what the word filled is. Shabai, which is 7. To be satisfied, be sated, be fulfilled, be surfeited. You know, and really that goes back to the number 7, if I'm not mistaken. Shabai, Shabawai, if I'm not mistaken. Haven't looked that up in a long time. But it basically says to be satiated. Matter of fact, let me just get that real quick. Number 7. I believe it's Shabai. I haven't looked this up in so long. Let me see. 7. The number 7. 7. Shabai. What did this one say? Shabai, yeah, 7. So really completion. So it says that you are filled, meaning completely filled, to have an excess, be surfeited with, to be sated, be satisfied with, be fulfilled, be filled, have one's fill of have desires satisfied, to enrich, to sate, glut with the undesired, to be weary of. So basically you've been weary in the multitude of your counsels. You've been weary in the multitude of your wickedness. So you are filled with shame. So your shame has come to completeness. Like the scriptures also say that their sins have reached unto heaven, meaning that even in the heavens are not free from your mischievous deeds. You know, even in the heavens, you pollute up there, and you bring your BS up there. So it says you're filled, or 7, or completion, or you're completely full of shame. Now the Hebrew word for shame is kwalawan, which means shame, disgrace, dishonor, ignominy, dishonor, disgrace, personal, shame, confusion, dishonor, ignominy, reproach. You know, confusion, dishonor, because pretty much what you've done is you've brought confusion to the world. Contempt, shame, ignominy, a shameful deed. You know, so that's what you've done. You've brought a shameful deed upon the earth. And then let me see what the other one says. Shame for glory. The cup also right hand. Shameful spewing is the same word, just in an elongated form. Kwaya kwalawan. Disgrace, shame. Intense disgrace, shameful spewing. Ignominy, vomitus. Like vomit is like when somebody vomits, that's them throwing up the insides out, and that's what it looks like. That's what you are. That's what your glory is being shown to be. You've tried to tell the world that you are a benevolent fellow, that you were this righteous people. But really, when you go deep down and you dig into your history and you dig into your past, pretty much you're nothing but a bunch of devils. You're nothing but a bunch of criminals. Your intentions are all bad. The scriptures say even the how does it go? Even the tender mercies of the wicked are evil, man. Even your most tender moment, even the most nicest you could be, is evil, man. It's wicked. Vomit, ignominy, a sense which be given by 9. Okay, so pretty much your history, or your glory that you have portrayed to the world is being turned upside down now. You know, and pretty much what's happening is that the truth is coming out, and you're looking to be this nasty hoe that tried to tell everybody she was a virtuous woman and a virgin, you know, and she was nothing but a slut and a whore, blowing all types of rod and getting popped every which way. And that's what America is. That's what the Lord calls you, a harlot, you know. So it says, as Anthony Vaver explains in his book Bound with an Iron Chain, historians have sought to cover up the fact that so many prisoners were sent to America. Through the 19th century, most historians simply ignored the institution. And those who did recognize it usually claimed that nearly all of the people who were transported were political prisoners, which is a lie. No less a figure than Thomas Jefferson himself tried to downplay the history of penal transportation to America. Writing in 1786, Jefferson insisted that even if British criminals had been sent, they must have been small in number. The malefactors sent to America were not sufficient in number to merit enumeration as one class out of three which peopled America. It was at a late period of their history that the practice began. I have no book by me which enables me to point out the date of its commencement, but I do not think the whole number sent would amount to 2,000, which is a lie, and being principally men eaten up with disease, they married seldom and propagated little. How do you know that? You're a damn liar, man. Everything that the so-called white man does is a goddamn lie, man. I do not suppose that themselves and their descendants are at present 4,000, which is little more than 1,000th part of the whole inhabitants. Except that this wasn't true. British convicts came over in droves, and free Americans weren't too happy about it. In fact, even before the transportation, all you devils were devils. And Gad was not happy. Reuben was not happy. Issachar was not happy that you devils were here. In fact, even before the Transportation Act of 1718 really opened the door for Britain's dumping of undesirables in America, some colonies tried to pass laws that would prohibit the practice. In 1670, authorities in Virginia passed an act that prohibited convicts from being sent to the area. This, unsurprisingly, was overruled by the king. Pennsylvania tried to do something in 1722 by passing a tax for the importation of any people for servitude who had been found guilty of heinous crimes. The king naturally said that this wasn't allowed either, proclaiming in 1731, whereas acts have been passed in America for laying duties on felons imported in direct opposition to an act of parliament for those more effectual transportation of felons. It is our royal will and more pleasure that you approve of no duties laid on the importation of any felons in Pennsylvania. And then you had the Act of 1718, right? Which the Act of 1718, early American crime. I got some precepts I'm going to go to after this. It says the need for a new punishment, the Transportation Act of 1718. It says, as stories of crime and criminals captured the attention of the 18th century reading public and English jails continued to fill beyond capacity, the need to find a new form of institutionalized punishment grew, citing the fact that current punishment had failed to deter people from committing crimes such as robbery, burglary, and larceny, and that there was a great need for labor in the American colonies. The British Parliament passed an Act 4G01 Cap 11 for the further preventing of robbery, burglary, and other felonies, and for the more effectual transportation of felons, the unlawful exporters of wool, and for the declaring the law upon some points relating to pirates, better known as the Transportation Act of 1718. So it said that this law was more effectual transportation of felons. So they actually passed a law to transport those felons from the British Empire, so to speak, or the British lands over to the Americas, and they also sent them over there to Australia, after a certain point. So I'm going to read some of these scriptures because when you read the so-called American history, they make it seem like these men and women, they braved the seas that come over here to start a new land, and they were being attacked by the savages, the Indians, which are Gadites. They were attacked by them. They were in such a bad condition. They suffered so much, but they fought through it. And look at the fruits of it today. Which when you go dig into the history, they were nothing but a bunch of criminals, a bunch of lowlifes, man. And it wasn't just men. You had women prisoners that were sent over here too. So this white hoe, she is also a goddamn criminal, a lowlife, because we read in Psalms the 58th chapter that they're estranged from the womb. Matter of fact, I didn't finish reading that. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me put this over here. Psalms 58:2. Yea, in heart you work wickedness, you weigh the violence of your heart and hands in the earth. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ears, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. And that's the reason why you had the parable of Lazarus and the rich man, where the rich man said, can you send somebody back from the dead to warn my brothers, lest they come to this place of torment, meaning come to slavery. And what did the angel say to him? Say they have Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them, because they're not going to hear the word, because they're obstinate. They're the true deaf adder that won't listen. No matter if you try to tell a serpent don't bite you, they're gonna bite you, man. And that's how this devil is. That's how he operates. And the thing about it is, they've painted this picture that there's some benevolent people, but they're nothing but a bunch of lowlifes, man. A bunch of vile, degenerate people. And the Lord said he has indignation against Esau forever, man. And then their punishment after 1,000 years of slavery is going to be a total annihilation, total extermination by way of fire. This is Daniel 4:17. It says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. And Esau is the basis of men. The Most High is in control of everything. He's the judge. He puts down one, he sets up another. Nobody could jump up because they're stronger or mightier than another nation and set themselves up in power over somebody, unless the Most High sanctions it. Even the lowest, vilest scumbag of the planet Earth, the Lord can set them up, which he did, which is the so-called white man, the Edomites. Now let's look up this word basest. Let's see what this says. Shapal, lowliest of station. Basest, low, basest, meaning they're the lowest of the low. They're the lowest of the low. Now let's see if there's a if we look up the word base, what comes up? Base, the lowest part or edge of something, especially the part on which it rests or is supported. A conceptual structure or entity on which something draws or depends. Pretty much the lowest part of something, the lowest part or edge of something. In this case, it'd be the lowest part or edge of man, which is the so-called white man, the Edomites. So they're the basis of men, and the Most High set them up. That's why they were able to come out of their condition that they were in a lowly state, being prisoners for 1,000 years, and be able to come into power and take over the world. That's why they were able to come up out of the caves during the time of the Babylonian and Medo-Persian Empire and set themselves up in power, to rule the known world at the time. Why? Because the Most High gave them the ability, because it was part of prophecy, which some wacky-ass Christians don't like to deal with. They don't like to deal with prophecy. All right. The next scripture is Job chapter 30, verse 1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I will have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time desolate and waste. And that was during the time when the dark nations were ruling. The Assyrians, Babylonians, Medo-Persian. These devils were up in the caves, wasting away. But the Lord put the spirit on them to come back into power, because it was part of his prophecy. Because the Most High set up the basis of men. It says, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief. Why? Because anytime the so-called white man comes into power, the first thing he does is to steal and to lie, to deceive. Like the scriptures say, a thief coming not but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And that's all they've done. All Esau has done since he took over the planet Earth is nothing but kill and destroy. Murder, destroy, rape, rob, lie, deceive, which is all the same words, but that's all that they've done since they came out of that condition they were in during the time of the Byzantine Empire. It says to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks. And this is when they were in the caves of the Caucasus Mountains. This was after they had left Mount Seir, in those areas. They were up in the caves of the Caucasus Mountains, grunting, eating out of their grandmother's skulls, and just all different type of madness, man. They didn't even have a spoken language. You know, they were like animals. They were grunting like animals. That's how they communicated. You know, through grunts and different howling and all that crap. It says, among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. Now, when you look up this word base men, when you look up the word base men, children of fools, Nabal, oh, matter of fact, this is what I wanted to get real quick. Nabal, which is foolish, senseless, fools, fool, foolish, vile person, foolish man, foolish women. And then Apostle Gabar had just not too long ago, I believe, did a lesson on the churl, the word churl in the book of Isaiah. That's these devils, Esau, because they're churl, they're evil, they're wicked, they're stupid. You know, see right here, stupid, wicked, especially impious, foolish, foolish man, foolish woman, vile person. They're vile, man. The so-called white man is not a hunk. He is not the god of the earth. He is not the greatest person on the planet. They're nothing but vile men. And when you look up the word base men, it's shum, right? The word shum means name. And when you look through here, they got this new, I hate this new setup that they got. Bunya, Nabal, it should say Bunyam, sons, Nabal, foolish, Gum also, Bunya, sons, Balaya, Shum, Nakaawa, Man Ha'arataza. There was one that said, I believe it was in the when you look in the Red Bible, in the precept, when you look in the Red Bible for that, where is it? Base men. When you look up there in the book of Job, the 30th chapter, just bear with me 1 second. It says that's verse 8, right? For it says number 5, I believe it is, base men. And when you look that up, 5 base men, it says men of no name. Why does it say men of no name? Because really they're the wicked. They're not really esteemed as being anything on the earth. You know, you have the Israelites, which are the righteous, and you have the other nations. You know, they have a certain amount of integrity, so to speak. You know, even though they're heathens. But the so-called white man has no integrity. Why? Because they are of their father, the devil. You know, they are the seed of they are the seed of the spiritual demon Satan. So it said they were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. And you read on down. Just want to get that word viler, and I'm going to get another precept. Naka'ah, to strike, scourge, smite, drive away, be viler. Yeah, they're vile. In other words, they're not even worthy to even be around. Like Job said, they wouldn't even worthy to be around his dogs. Because what do these devils do with animals? They have sex with the animals. You know, they corrupt even the animals. Okay, and now am I their song? Yeah, I am their byword. So I want to get this precept right quick before I continue on. There's more if you brothers want to read the rest. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 13, and verse 38, I believe it is. Matthew 13:38. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, which are the Israelites, but the tares are the children of the wicked one, meaning Esau. You know, so these devils, they are the children of the spiritual demon Satan. All right. Now moving on, Psalms 50 and 16. But unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenants in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instructions and castest my word behind thee? Because they're not about keeping the word or keeping the work or teaching the word. Because no matter if you try to show them, they're not going to get it. The Lord said they're that deaf adder that shutteth their ears. Isaiah 26 and 10. Let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. And they're not going to behold the majesty of the Lord. They have the power to do it. They have the book. and they have the power to do what the book says because they're in authority. Nobody else can tell them that they can't do it. But the thing about it is they're not going to do it because they are not the righteous. They are the wicked. Their whole vibe and energy comes from the left-hand side of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They vibe off of sorcery. They vibe off of witchcraft. They vibe off of vile things. They vibe off of homosexuality and lesbianism and all that, bestiality, because that's what the spirit that's in them. That's where it comes from. It comes from the left-hand side. This is Jeremiah 13:23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may ye do good that are accustomed to doing evil. And the so-called white man can't do right. That's the original can't do right. They're accustomed to doing the wrong thing. They're accustomed to breaking every law that the Yahweh Shem Yahushai set up. That's why the Lord said this in the book of Isaiah 24:5. It says, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because the earth was a paradise when the Lord created it. And look at it now, it's defiled. It's fighting against this man because it can't take no more of this wickedness that this devil is doing to it. He's turned the course of this world upside down. He's turned everything backwards. That's why everything is fighting against him. The earth is fighting against this devil. The animals are fighting against this devil. The nations are fighting against this devil. And we're fighting against this devil. The only ones that's not fighting against this devil is 2/3 of the nation of Israel. They're helping this devil keep his kingdom up. But the Most High is going to destroy them too. Move them right out the way to get rid of the real problem. It says, because they have transgressed the law. See, they have power to keep the laws. They claim in 1983 and other years that the law was the supreme law of the land. But why haven't they kept it? Because it's not in their spirit. Their spirit is set up and geared to do wrong, to vibe off of the left-hand side of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Change the ordinance. See, they change everything. They say in God we trust, but then the Bible says homosexuals supposed to be put to death. They give homosexuals rights. And many other such things they do. Broken the everlasting covenant. So they broke everything. They done destroyed everything. And now the Most High is going to destroy them because the Lord said he's going to destroy them which destroyed the earth. And the beginning of the destroying of the earth really took place when they came over here and took over this side of the world. And the Lord started giving them this technology, and they started just destroying everything on the planet. They got Terminator seeds. They got fluoride in the water. They got chemtrails in the air. They got GMO foods. They got the minds of the people corrupted through television, through media, through the educational system, man. On all levels, this devil is the devil, man. This is Job 14:3. And dost thou, 14:4. Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. The Most High made this devil unclean. You can't clean him up. The Most High made pig unclean. I don't give a damn how many times you pray over it, and if you turn on your side and you stand on a handstand and pray over that pig. If you sit up under a table, with your back arched and your legs and your feet up in the air praying for that pig, it's not going to be clean because the Most High made it to be unclean. The same thing with this devil. That's why in the book of Ezekiel said that you have these jakes out here that are trying to save alive the ones that the Most High want to destroy. But it's not going to happen because the scripture says, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished. These devils are going to be punished, and that's why all this is coming out on them. Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. That's why all this information is coming out on these devils. It's coming out on them. Why? Because of the fact that the Most High is about to judge this devil, and all this information is coming out on him. It says, let me try to read a little bit more of this. Many of those sent to the American colonies were put to work doing manual labor from an 1896 paper on the subject by James Davy Butler. Planters both in the West Indies and Virginia, which was reckoned a part of them far on in the 18th century, needed laborers and welcomed a supply from whatever quarter. As Virginia's staples was tobacco, it naturally became a center of white as well as black servitude, whether its victims were indented or not, and criminal or not. Americans have rather romantic ideas about how their country was founded. their country, this country that they stole, you mean. We've long been fond of the mythology surrounding persecuted people freely traveling to the New World and building the greatest country on earth. But, like all history, it's much, much messier than that. And you damn right it's much messier than that. Our history includes plenty of genocide. Yep, you damn right. Slavery. Yep, you damn right. And just a dash of prison folk. No, it wasn't just a dash. It was a whole bunch. This guy is double talking in this thing. You know, first he says there was a large number. Now he's just saying just a dash of prison folk. No, it was a lot of prison folk. And all of you devils are pretty much prison folk because you're all criminals. When you go back to the time of Cain, Cain was a fugitive and a vagabond. A fugitive is one that's fleeing from justice. And you so-called white people have fled from justice long enough. And now it's time for the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to do something about it and to take you down and make you pay for all the things that you've done. And the latter may be news to many Americans who wouldn't hesitate to make jokes about Australia being populated by the descendants of criminals. But Australia really wasn't special in that regard. Shipping criminals halfway around the world was part of America's sordid history too. Shameful spewing on you devils. Matter of fact, I'm going to read that scripture again and I'm going to close out. I have a couple of other scriptures, but the point is pretty much made, you know. So I'm going to read this again. Habakkuk 2:16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. This is what you have. This is your great history. Britain sent thousands of its convicts to America, not just Australia. Another part of your great history is that you so-called white people were nothing but a bunch of goddamn cavemen. You know, that you're the Edomites. You're pretty much a people of no name, because you really haven't contributed anything great to the world except for rape, robbery, murder, destruction, deception, you know, and many other such things, you know. So with that, I hope you brothers have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.